Hi guys, this is John Montgomery at IMC Studios again, and I was just going to answer a little prompt here. Some of the folks said they were watching the Windows 8 preview and they said, wait, I haven't done Windows 7 yet. So let me just go through real quick how to install Windows 7 on a PC. When you first boot the system to the disk, you're going to come to this very first window that says Install Windows 7, and here are some places where you can accept the defaults. Generally it's going to be English United States for time and currency formats, and the keyboard or input method is English. So let's just start by accepting that, and then we'll do the install now. Now if you'd like to go in some detail about what needs to happen, how you need to get set up on Windows, there's a great link here in the installation about what you need to know about before installing Windows. Or if you're here because your computer has had some type of problem and you're trying to repair Windows, this in fact is where you take that repair link to repair your computer rather than installing a new version. So there's some good links to know about, but we're going to take this first link right here, Install Now, and install Windows on this PC. So you'll see setup is starting. That's good to know. And we'll continue here. I'm going to pause for a second. This is going to take just a little bit to get to the next step, and I'll pick you up as the next window opens. So as soon as setup has gone just a little further, you'll see the Install Windows license terms. This is Windows 7 Professional that we're looking at, and there are quite a few license terms, and you can read those by just cursoring down through this list. It's quite extensive, tells you what your rights are to the software, what ownership means of the software license, and etc. You'll have to accept these terms before you can move forward. You'll notice until that check mark's made, no way to move forward. So we'll accept those terms and hit next to continue the installation. So now we've got two basic types of installation. We can upgrade, which like it says is going to put a newer version of Windows on this computer and keep your file settings and programs. It's only available when an existing version of Windows is running. And of course, that's very important there. It says it recommends that you back up your files before you select this option. So if you haven't done that, then I would stop here, cancel the upgrade by just hitting the X up there in the upper corner, go back and do the backup and come back to this point in the install. But what we're going to do is the advanced, install a new copy of Windows. And what you'll see on Windows, very similar to the Windows 8 preview we talked about, it'll ask you where you'd like to install Windows. You can see here I've got an unallocated disk, 127 gigabytes of space. And I did want to point out a couple of things. There are some drive options similar to Windows 8 installation where you can delete, extend, format, create new partitions and whatnot. But if you'd like to just use the unallocated space that is shown in this window, you just click Next. And then what you see here is the Windows just gives you a status window that shows you that it's going to copy the files that it needs, expand those compressed files, install the features, install any updates, and complete the installation. And it'll give you some updates. This little status number you see here kind of tells you how long it's taken. No progress bar per se, except down at the bottom, but that little percentage will tell you pretty quick what's going on. You'll also see here it says your computer will restart several times during the installation. Don't be surprised by that. It may shut down, but it will automatically start back where it needs to start. Just leave it alone, let it go through the process, and you'll see it go through each one of these. So I'm going to pause. This takes a little time. Don't get impatient, just let it go through its thing. One thing for sure is don't interrupt the installation if at all possible. It more than likely will corrupt the Windows installation, and you don't want to do that obviously. So just let it do its thing, be patient, and I'll come back to you here as we finish this screen. So I came back here after we had to go ahead and let the Windows files copy, expand, and install features. And we'll get this updates installation, and then I wanted to show you here just at the tail end of this when we're completing the installation, you will get one little thing you can do, or you can just sit by and watch idly, either one. But here we are coming up. Here is the need to restart, and we can either let it go forth or restart now, which I'll just click. Alright, so after with Reboot here, we'll show that setup is updating the registry values. This is a database of settings for programs, applications, and whatnot. And most of you know, but for those that don't, there are a set of services that make up all the pieces of Windows. And we start by getting all of those services running after the installation. And then as you see after the reboot, it said, may reboot several times. We're back here completing the installation. And again, down at the bottom, you'll see a progress bar going by right down here. There we go, just there. So we'll let it continue, and I'll catch up to you right after the reboot. So you can see we just finished a reboot, and we're starting Windows for the first time. So we'll just hang here a second as he finishes up some settings, but I wanted you to see this is basically how Windows 7 starts up after the initial install, and I'll carry on. And there we go. That's the last time we're going to see the setup program really telling us much until we get into Windows, which is its setup is preparing your computer for its first use. And here we're going to set a whole bunch of settings, including right off the bat what your account is. So I'm going to start off here with a setting I like. John works for me. Click in there. We'll type John, and we'll use the computer PC name John PC. Go next, and we'll type a password here and repeat it. Type a password hint here, and that'll be enough for me to remember. And then here is where we will activate the Windows product key. So you'll find on your Windows installation media or in the full package product, you'll find a product key shipped with the disk, or if you downloaded it, where you purchased it from, you should get a key from Microsoft, for example. So I'm going to enter that key, and then you could choose to, with this second box here, to either activate or not activate Windows when I'm online. I'm going to choose not to activate right now in this test environment. I don't really need to activate this copy of Windows, and just go forth here. So at this point we have some automatic updates, how to deal with those in the system from the very get-go. And what I would suggest is you use the recommended settings. There are a couple of options here where you can purely until you decide, and download the updates, get them ready, but don't do anything else. That may leave you vulnerable to security threats. Other is to install only the important updates. Microsoft scales updates based on criticality, and you can choose to install only the important updates. I would use recommended settings. This will install important and recommended updates. It helps make your internet browsing safer. Basically checks online for problems, helps Microsoft improve Windows. A bunch of default settings that I really think are great settings. So let's click this guy. Okay, so we'll set up our time here, and we're going to go in Central, and not Central America, but go to Central Time US and Canada, UTC -6. This second blank that you can click here is to automatically adjust the clock for daylight savings time, and I would suggest doing that, leaving that checked. Check our date, make sure it's correct, and our time, make sure it's correct, and hit next. And then finally, we're going to set up where this current computer is located by networks. It's detected some networks, and what I'm going to do is say this is on my work network. And you could do that as your home if you're at home, or on a public place like a place where you are just using a publicly accessible internet connection. So now Windows is finalizing those settings, and you've got Windows 7 Professional well on the way to running for you. So we'll hold right here 1 second as Windows 7 finishes its setup. And there we have it, folks. This is the welcome screen for Windows 7 Professional. What you'll see here for a little bit is Windows finishes the final piece of preparing your desktop is a setting here, well, of course, the status, preparing your desktop, and then we'll be ready to use Windows 7 Professional on this computer. The second screen you'll see is on our personalized settings is setting up Windows Desktop Update, and this little window will show up right up here that lets you see what the status of that evolution is, and there's going to be several of these pop up, so just hang tight with me for a second. There's our recycle bin and our taskbar. So welcome to Windows 7. You've got it done. That's installing Windows 7 from the disk installation all the way up to the desktop. Hope you enjoyed this video, and look for more videos as we discover how to install personal productivity tools like Office 2010. We're going to talk about using Small Business Server and several other aspects of personal and corporate productivity. Again, it's John Montgomery at IMC Studios, and I'm sure glad you decided to share this time with me. Look forward to seeing you soon. Bye-bye.